Help for the opiate addict. Here are a few staggering statistics from the CDC in Atlanta. In the year 2010, based on one of their studies, there were more deaths contributed to prescription pain medication than heroin and cocaine combined. That's right, combined. There was enough prescription pain medicine prescribed in America alone to give every American adult round-the-clock medication for a month. In the state of Ohio, 4 people die every day due to opiate addiction and accidental overdose. About 80% of those people are under the age of 30. Make no mistake, opiate addiction is an epidemic. But in the year 2002, the FDA approved a medication called buprenorphine to help fight against this epidemic. As someone who works in the ministry that's solely dedicated to help those fighting addictions, not just with opiates, but all sorts of substances, I'd like to explain how this medication works, why it works, and clarify some misconceptions about it. Buprenorphine was introduced by the FDA and approved in the year 2002. When an opiate addict takes their substance of choice, the properties in the opiate attach themselves to the receptors in the user's brain. That attachment process results in 3 things: decreased respirations, a feeling of euphoria, and decreased pain. When buprenorphine is given, the same receptors are also filled with this medication. However, they're filled without having the same results as the opiate user. There is no feeling of euphoria. There is no craving when the medication is stopped. It actually contains an opiate antagonist which tricks the brain into thinking it's been satisfied with opiates without the feeling of euphoria. Consequently, for the person who is seeking sobriety, when using this medication, it helps, number one, the addict to not have the cravings that they would normally have once the opiate wears off. This then allows the addict to concentrate and be able to think normally and to be able to work a program of sobriety. It's very important that this medication is prescribed by a doctor, a regulated doctor, who is well versed in the pharmaceutical use of this medication. And even more important than that, it must be used in conjunction with cognitive therapy. Merely by using this medication, it allows the opiate addict to let those receptors heal. And while those receptors are healing, allows the addict to work on themselves in a recovery program, a 12-step program, whether outpatient or inpatient. It allows the time for that person to receive the help that they need and for their brain to receive the healing it gets. A very common complaint against this form of treatment is that you're merely replacing one addiction for another. While the medication does contain some actual opiate derivatives, when it's prescribed and regulated by a doctor, it's virtually impossible for someone to abuse this medication. And unlike opiates, you can be weaned off this medication without a lot of the side effects that opiate users have. You won't go through the withdrawals that they have. It's a much easier process. However, the answer is not in the medication. It's in the addict's true desire for sobriety. For the person addicted to opiate and opiate-related drugs like heroin, this is a very promising medical option to help them beat their addiction. The medication buprenorphine, when it's taken under the watchful eye of a doctor and in conjunction with counseling, a recovery program, and a true desire to live a sober life, it's yielded very positive results for opiate addicts. In fact, in 2002, the same studies showed that people using the buprenorphine have a 50 to 60% success ratio of beating their addiction to opiates. However, those not using the buprenorphine have less than a 10% chance of success. I would strongly urge anyone battling addiction to consider this as a source of help. And rather than burying our children and young adults due to the overwhelming increase in overdoses among opiate abusers, let's utilize the tools that have been proven to be lifesavers and give our society a chance at beating this epidemic which is sweeping our country.